Has Dr. Joel helped make your life a little happier and healthier? Consider supporting the show for as little as $1 a month so we can continue to bring you the content you love. Just go to patreon.com/Joel Wade. That's patreon.com/Joel Wade. $1 a month. It's all we ask.
You are now listening to the Mastering Happiness podcast with Dr. Joel Wade.
How can we bring our best to our work? And what's the essential perspective that makes it all worthwhile? These are the questions we'll be looking at today. I'm Joel Wade, and welcome to today's podcast. If you want to be excellent at something, practice it deliberately. What makes somebody who's truly exceptional and continues to improve and become even more truly exceptional? What makes the difference between a Michael Jordan and somebody who's just really good at basketball? What makes the difference between a Mozart or a Beethoven and somebody who can play quite well or occasionally compose an impressive piece of music? There's a role for raw talent, of course. You have to be capable of accomplishing such feats as these incredible masters to begin with. There's a role for genius and natural ability. There's also the role played by parents and mentors from an early age. But there are plenty of people with lots and lots of talent and ability who never, ever come near their potential. There are lots of people with very high IQs who never apply their mental capacities to the utmost. The one element that's most crucial for developing and maintaining an exceptional level of performance is the deliberate, concentrated practice of the various elements of your chosen field. So what's the big deal here? Everybody knows that you have to practice something to get good at it. I've often said that you get good at what you practice, even if it's things that are not so good for you. How is what I'm saying any different than the old joke about how you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Deliberate practice is not the same as just doing something over and over. Deliberate practice involves actively, purposefully focusing on a precise skill and consciously adjusting and modifying that skill so that you're bringing out the very best outcome that you possibly can. This is hard work, and it can be emotionally challenging to consistently open yourself to the kind of feedback and criticism that it sometimes takes to keep your skills growing. With most everyday skills like typing, driving a car, or learning how to play a game like tennis well enough to have fun with it, there's an initial learning period, which involves intensive focus and attention to detail. But the goal for most of these skills is not excellence, but the ability to perform them easily and nearly automatically. This usually takes no more than about 50 hours to get to the point where mistakes become rare and the performance is relatively smooth and competent. Once these things become automatic, and you become used to performing them without thinking much about reevaluating what you're doing, it's harder to then change or fine-tune them. They're pretty well set, and that's that. Can you remember the intensity of focus, the conscious awareness, and the level of fatigue that you experienced when you were first learning to drive a car? It's likely this was something of a transformational time for you, enabling you to have both the freedom and the life and death responsibility of being in charge of a huge mass of metal moving along at high speed. But you probably don't think about it much now. You get in and drive. You know how to drive. You pay attention, and you get to where you're going safe and sound. Even though you may have decades of experience driving, you're probably not really much improved from when you'd been driving only a couple of years. But think if you tried to maintain that same level of intense focus as you had when you were first learning to drive every time you got in a car. Of course, for a relatively rote task, this would be a tremendous waste of time, though we might all do well to revisit our driving skills from time to time. But if you were a race driver or a stunt driver or some other profession that required higher intensity driving skills, it would be a different story. This is the level of focus that you need to maintain for years or even decades in order to become exceptional at something. The difference between deliberate practice and the automatic time spent routinely doing a task or playing a game is your level of concentration on refining your skills. An expert basketball player won't just go shoot baskets. An expert basketball player will spend time and energy paying attention to the fine points of each and every shot, bringing his or her total focus and awareness to the minute movements and body positioning that allows for the most accurate and consistent execution of that particular kind of shot. Then they move on to do the same thing with a different particular kind of shot. And they'll keep doing this throughout their playing career. The same principle holds true for any field of expertise. If you want to be an exceptional doctor, software designer, or decision maker, if you want to become exceptional at business or investing, if you want to become an exceptional artist, writer, or dancer, the core ingredient is the same. What separates people who are just quite good at what they do from those who continually improve and excel and expand their capacities is that at some point for most of us, we get good enough at what we do. Good enough may be fantastic. You can practice and hone your skills to the point where you can do fine work, making quite wonderful things happen. Then at some point, you find that what you've attained is where you're going to settle down. It's almost like finding a home, a comfort level where you can stay and be content and happy with what you do and how you do it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this. Sometimes this is about having other priorities, family being a big one. Sometimes this is about not knowing that we can improve beyond a certain level, having a self-image that will only allow us to see ourselves performing up to a point. Sometimes it's a matter of having had a certain kind of support or encouragement from a teacher, a mentor, or a coach, and when that person or people who are serving in this role are no longer there, we just don't think of finding others who can push us along. Sometimes it's because we don't know that we can get better still. But what somebody who is truly exceptional at a given field will do is to continue this kind of deliberate practice indefinitely. Professional athletes still have coaches who challenge them and keep them engaged and focused on where they can improve. Exceptional business leaders have colleagues and mentors who push them along. And when you see somebody who, when they're much older, are still performing at a virtuoso level, you can be assured that it's not just because they're older and have some kind of magical wisdom. They're able to do this because they continue to deliberately and painstakingly think about and practice every element of their skill. So, if you want to become excellent at something, whether it be your work, a beloved pastime, or your relationships, great marriages don't just happen. People who are inspiring in their older years for the love, joy, and devotion to each other have actively practiced being good to and with each other. The key is to bring your total focus to bear in purposefully, consciously practicing everything that goes into doing that well. You don't have to become Michael Jordan, Mozart, or Beethoven in order to continually improve what you do. These are exceptional people with exceptional talent who had exceptional early training. But you can use this principle to get better at whatever you do, and it's the improvement and the satisfaction of doing what you do well that's one of the great joys of life. But there's another element to becoming excellent at what we do that's often taken very much for granted, or sometimes ignored entirely, and that's understanding the virtue of self-interested work. Giving and helping others are wonderful things. We're appreciated when we give to others through charity, volunteer work, or other acts of kindness, and rightly so. When we can help another person in some way, it creates a spirit of goodwill, and it's one of the single most important acts we can do for our own happiness. What's often overlooked, though, is how much consciousness, caring, time, money, and energy each one of us already puts into significantly helping other people every day through the work we do. Every hour we've spent in a classroom, in an internship, and at work is an hour we've spent honing and perfecting our skills. Every dollar we've spent for tuition, books, seminars, travel, and of course those most expensive of seminars, the cost of failure or loss that have added to our wisdom, is a dollar we've spent investing in our ability to do our work well. And every ounce of energy we spent thinking about, worrying over, creating ideas for, and sweating through hard work and difficult times is an ounce of energy that increases our ability to provide some kind of product or service to another human being. It's popular these days to dismiss all this because we're doing it for the money, as though earning money cheapens our efforts, makes our efforts base, selfish, or materialistic. But earning a living from what we do makes it possible and reasonable for us to do it. When demagogues lecture young college graduates to forego making money and instead do something else that helps people, they're telling them that what we do to make money does not help people. This, of course, is exactly the opposite of the truth. Money is the great measure of value. That some people get rich through deceit or fraud, or through the use of political power or manipulation, does not negate the fact that most of us make our livings doing something that is of value to other people, and of enough value to enough other people that the aggregate of what they pay allows us to afford those things we need and want. The contractor we hired to remodel our house a few years back was not simply willing to hammer some nails or help out in our time of need. He makes his living doing what he does. We paid him a lot of money, and in return, we got all the skill, experience, and knowledge, familiarity with the subcontractors, and accountability that led to the finished product we were happy with. The work he did then continues to add to our quality of life every single day. He didn't do this as a sacrifice. It was among the most moral and benevolent of human interactions. It was an exchange. Our daughter's and son's high school choir director made a huge positive impact on their lives. He's a real professional with a wealth of understanding and knowledge about music, performance, technique, orchestration, and teaching. He's one of those people they'll look back on as a central influence on their early lives. He's dedicated his entire life to the study, performance, and teaching of music. This is how he makes his living. And we paid money to the school where he taught, in large part because he was there. Think of the work you do. How many hundreds or thousands of hours have you invested in learning the skills you use? How many years have you spent practicing those skills to earn the level of competence you bring to your work today? This is what you give back to the world each and every day without even thinking about it. If you run a business, you provide the goods or services people want, whether that's manufacturing vitamins or tool-making equipment, teaching, mining minerals, drilling for oil, or selling real estate. You bring something into the world that wouldn't otherwise be there. If you work as a software engineer, a roofing contractor, or a salesman, you're doing something that adds to the problem-solving capacity of your community. If you work in marketing, music, medicine, or manufacturing, you're adding to the quality of life of other people every single day you do your work. For some of us, work is more of a job, something we do primarily because it pays the bills. For others, it's something we get absorbed in, and we enjoy using the skills we've honed. For others, work is a genuine calling, something we must do, something we feel a profound sense of meaning and purpose in doing. This last scenario is a wonderful thing. It allows us to bring everything we have to the work we do and to feel deeply satisfied in the process. But whether our work is a calling or whether it's mainly a paycheck, it's still what we spend a lot of our waking life engaged in. And that's a level of practice and commitment that's hard to equal in terms of charity or volunteer work. When I drive by businesses in town, I pay attention to those that are closed. Whether they're businesses I've used or not, I feel a sense of loss. There's one more possibility that doesn't exist. My profession of psychotherapy and life coaching is considered a, quote, helping profession. I love what I do, and I'm proud of the work I do. But I've got news for anybody who sorts work out in such terms. Every profession is a helping profession. In the market, the mundane, self-interested market, if you're not helping somebody do something they want or need to do, then you won't make a living. If you want to feel just how much good there is in the world through people's day-to-day work, Just imagine any of your favorite businesses gone. Imagine your favorite grocery store closed. Imagine that pizza place you take for granted shut down. Imagine your doctor has closed his or her practice. Imagine no new computer when yours finally crashes. No good place to take your car for repairs. Nothing interesting on radio or TV. No gas for your car. No fruit or vegetables or meat for your meals. Then you can begin to appreciate how much good is brought to us each and every day by people doing nothing more altruistic than their own self-interested pursuit of a good living. Help people. Be kind, empathetic, and generous in your life. Such an attitude is heartful. It brings a deeply meaningful spirit to ourselves and the people around us, and is central to our human connections. Kindness and empathy are core virtues, and they create an essential benevolent cycle. But never lose sight of the incalculable good we're already bringing, and that others are bringing to us through what we do regularly to earn money. Kindness, empathy, and generosity, along with expertise, are qualities that good work asks of us, and this built-in benevolence is part of the joy we get to rightly feel at work. Understanding that the work we do is valuable provides the deeper sense of meaning, which gives us the energy and incentive to do the hard work of deliberately practicing the different facets of what we do. That sense of purpose, understanding why we do the things and why it matters, gives us the fuel to bring our very best to what we do. Take some time to appreciate all that you've put into the work you do, and see if you can define some parts of it that you can direct a more deliberate practice to, so you can hone your skills more fully, feel the healthy pride in the skills and the success that you've earned, and know the value that all of this effort brings to others. A Master's Course in Happiness is a monthly, in-depth program to help you actively, purposefully, and effectively live a happier, more fulfilling life. This course is designed to teach you the skills and principles that you need to bring the best you have to offer, inside and out. Over the course of 12 months, we'll explore what I've found are many of the fundamentals of living well. Through audio, video, and written material, you're supported to learn and practice specific actions each month that will strengthen you, inspire you, and enable you to lean into life more fully. These are skills and principles for self-mastery across all of the circumstances and personalities I have ever worked with for nearly 4 decades, based on solid research and experience. And right now, exclusively for my listeners, you can experience the Master's Course in Happiness at a great discount. Use promo code MH1, promo in all capitals, to get this $467 course for only $295 today. Visit www.drjoelwade.com. That's drjoelwade.com now, and use promo code MH1promo to receive this amazing course for only $295. A Master's Course in Happiness is designed to give you the most powerful skills that I can offer in a course. It will give you the tools and knowledge to apply yourself fully to the mission of mastering yourself. That's www.drjoelwade.com, promo code MH1, promo, all in capitals.